thank you very much for being here, Paulina. I'm speaking to you from the beautiful Thailand beach, Ao Nang. It is wild, it is crazy, it is noisy, it is slightly polluted and over the top, it is windy, and I'm sorry for any noise pollution in this video. On the 2nd of March we have a beautiful full moon in Virgo, and this is basically your test. How much do you care for yourself? How little do you want to try for nothing? How much time do you really care to spend with people and on things that don't really worth your time, are not really worth your time? What do you really think about you? How do you really want to live this life? Do you really need to sequence in the way that you have, or can you just let go? This beautiful moon strongholds us into a new conversation with God, and what we really think and feel about ourselves will change. I feel this is the last part of the year. This is the big new understanding of self, and to my knowledge of me, this is it basically. I have to cross out a few things. We've been on a bit of a roll. We've been on a bit of a quiet, perhaps inner turning in terms of who we are, what we need, what we do or do not love. And I feel that this moon is going to really bring it into perspective, like how you've been going about your life. Did you really have to do all these things that you've done? Do you have to keep on going in the same sense that you have? Do you really care? Do you really care to continue what you have created in the previous years into the next year? Unfortunately, this is a very easy time to lose track. It is a super duper easy time to judge yourself cruelly or harshly. It is very almost impossible not to, because sometimes during this time we get a lot of opportunity to really see ourselves for who we are. Tarnishing thoughts, tarnishing feelings, Pisces does bring it all to the surface. And if you are someone like myself and you can sometimes feel these feelings that are not yours, or you can sometimes feel like you're processing the like the God particle or something. It's like you're processing everything as all things instead of exactly like who you are and what you're up to and what you want to be doing. If you are accidentally perhaps taking on somebody else's karma, as I've done many times during this month, and if you are actually taking in a lot of other people's issues and a lot of other people's thoughts, be very mindful of the each time. Like say if we are really like thinking about ourselves and we really want to let go and be us during this time, I feel that we might get told off. I feel that if you say, for example, enjoy spending time by yourself and doing very hedonistic things, you'll get told off. I feel that people are very soon to judge one another and very soon to teach. And as I've said about the Aquarian transit before, very careful about putting your judgment or your focus on people and things, because you might actually have to reenact what they're going through. Everything is really mishmashed. We're in the dog year, so everything is becoming level. Everything is becoming the same, or things are being leveled down energetically to each other. And this to me feels that this particular moon can actually bring us to a very uncomfortable state where we aren't who we are, but yet we aren't not who we are either. We can become kind of the median, or the sort of like opposition to something else. Very easy to get used, very easy to get confused with someone else, very simple to be put into a story that you don't have to live through. It is a very simple situation here where you can actually become somebody else's guest or somebody else's partner or somebody else's friend without really needing to do anything for yourself. It's a very interesting filling in time, so if people have a gap or a void, sometimes they'll put you in it. And occasionally with a time like this, you might also recognize very quietly inside yourself, who am I that has no purpose? So by Jan, Feb, you might have already seen who you were, and you might have already seen a lot of your new feathers come through, and pieces of your life coming together very fast. But unfortunately during this time in Pisces, I feel everything can get just like smoothed over, as if there is a layer of butter over everything, and nothing really matters for itself, and nobody really can see the difference between you and another person. That's a very harsh thing. People are starting to form pacts. People are starting to also form packs like dogs. People are starting to define each other by who are you, what do you bring, and not very often even when you get to know yourself really well, can people really tell who they're looking at? So that's a very interesting thing. And also people can't tell who they're looking for. If you are somebody who is still looking for another person, or you're looking for a service, or you're looking for that specific something, be very, very wary of that, because occasionally we can sometimes force ourselves to even create voids where there are none, or we think that we need something or somebody when we do not. So it's a very easy time to get completely played. It is a very, very easy time to start working for someone else. It is a very easy time to start doing too much work. It's a very easy time to start carrying on tasks and jobs and situations for people that you don't actually like. It is also an incredible time to decipher somebody else to such an extent when you are more them than yourself. And it is obviously a very, very funny and enriching time for friends, for people that actually giving you time, or they're giving you laughter, or they're giving you love for a reason. So this is an interesting time not to be dissolved in other people, but where you can dissolve is we are in Pisces. And the galactic sun to me looks very, very pleased with our progress, but we are in Pisces, so it is very nice to dissolve. And it is really, really good to dissolve. How? Is to recognize your own love. Your own love. This is not a thing that we get taught. This is nobody's knowing as to how. This is basically knowing how you are inside and feeling all these different feelings without having to have somebody share your commute, without a person telling you that you've done well, or wow, you are right, or you're not. So this is basically about recognizing your own love. Without this you can't go, you know. It's not really about how you are feeling either. It's just like this own sense of selfishness. This is the thing, is I feel that a lot of us are going to get whisked away, swayed this way and the other, with women, with men, with situations in the following few months if we don't have that selfishness. It isn't bad, it is just being within your own experience. Everything is getting smoothed out. Virgo moon wants to serve. It wants to serve. It wants to give more than it wants to receive. For you, don't worry about me. It is very, very easy towards this time to succumb to a role. It's super freaky easy. Like, it is so easy to become someone's mum. It's very, very easy to just be giving and giving and giving without actually asking back for anything. It is super duper easy during this particular time to find yourself strung along with a friend, to find yourself being the one stringing someone along, not knowing that you have done that. It is a very, very impeccable time not to. Very nice to just still yourself, sit inside, look at yourself. Who do you want? Who do you need? Why are you asking for, like, say, these people to come on board? Do you really need the world to watch you? Do you have to have all these people know who you are? The questions are numerous. The questions are vast. And then there is this incentive, because behind each wish for fame, or each wish for changing the world, or each wish for greater galactic or conscious expansion for others, behind each friendly one, each friendly, just a desire, there is actually something more. That's actually very interesting, because I do not think that there's really anybody that can see this minute shift from deep need to serve and help and heal to anger, until you see it yourself. You might not see how a person, for example, can shift from care and love to control very quickly. You might not see that. But if you are somebody who is developing you, and if you are somebody who is still kind of holding on, that piece of you will grow. But if you don't want to grow, and you actually really, really, really interested in merging now, if you really want to just conquer yourself and try to do everything for another person, very mindful of plunging and plugging yourself into situations, relationships and other social outcome where you are eventually filed down into something that you probably do not really recognize yourself as, or you are filed or placed away in such a way where you are not really for them or for you. You are just nulled. It's a very interesting vision I'm getting. It's almost, I'm seeing the Grim Reaper just basically nulling things down. So if you can imagine a person with a scythe cutting down the grass and making sure that everything's the same size. That's something that can really manage here. It can really manage us and manage itself into a nullness. I feel that a sort of sense of desensitivity and the wish for control for everything is very likely for us on a personal, on a very minute and a very social, global even sense. The overall, let's get things overall, let's get things completely placid, let's get things as level as we can. This can also, I feel, become an interesting up for other people when everybody has joined up a group, where everything has decided that it wants to be friends with the world, where everybody has been nulled and everybody has this false altruism for the love of another. Sometimes during the first part of the dog year can be the greatest love of all, you know, the greatest love of all, to be held by another's arms, to be kissed by another's mouth, you know, to be single is not easy during this time for people who are not yet over the fact that we are all one, you know. It's like it's a very interesting thought. During this time I feel that a lot of us can be simplified down to the most ununique component if we don't really want to serve ourselves. Another couple of new things for me actually is placement of you. The placement of you in this time is, I feel, important like no other, okay? This is because with Pisces we're creating metaphor. Where are you placed and why? How are you placed? What for? Where are you going to spend the next part of your dream? That's interesting, because for some people it doesn't really matter where they're placed, and this can grow a lot with time. Say for example, if you're somebody like myself, you can sleep in a tent, you can sleep in somebody's attic, or you can just sleep on the floor. The other extreme, the other thing I feel is people minding too much where they're placed and not really wanting to be anywhere else but a certain place. Like, I have no home rather than this, or this is the only place, or this is the only type of hotel that I'll visit. That's another thing I feel for me as well, is I'm learning that sometimes people have a top and a bottom in terms of where they're placed in the world and in this matrix that is different from others. Like, for some people being inside a tent is the top of the line experience, and for other people it's about being at the Hilton Hotel. And for other people it's about being on their couch and not moving. This is very difficult. I feel if you are watching your life and you're seeing that you've been placed and you love it, cherish that. Cherish those bits that you love. And you are seeing, say for example, I've always been into this type of thing since I was a child, or like I've always wanted to do something like this since I was 12 years old. That's great. However, how you've been placed, watch out, because things are very interesting here. They're very numb and nulled, but at the same time I feel there's a lot of mystery that is being shown. I feel there's a lot of nitty-gritty things that are under the surface making a big impact to our future. So for example, if you are seeing that you are stuck, or you are tormented where you are, or there is a certain type of weird disposition towards things that are not healthy for you, things that are not happy for you, I would definitely challenge that. So challenge yourself, because you might see it as very enormous who you are, and perhaps where you've been placed or where you're putting yourself is not enough. That's something very important. Or If you haven't got any self-importance, perhaps where you're placed is the uttermost importance, because there is no other importance. It's just about being in those places or being in those hotels. It's another way to be about it. There is, I feel, a very interesting seeding during this time, as we are in void, deep void in Pisces here, with the beginning and the end of the world, where you might not actually note and you may not actually want to see how people are with you. This is a very interesting time to see how people take care of you when they look at you in the face. Where you are and how you are, you have to notice everything, because this is the dream, and this could actually be you for the rest of your life for some people, and for a few others it might be just a year or just a few months. But this is a big picture changing time in Pisces. We are re-imprinting the matrix. We're putting things into a certain type of consequential sequence that then can get unraveled by the end of the year. If you're lucky like myself, it could be just 2 or 3 months. If you are working through it, if you're seeing yourself, if you are breathing, if you're creating enough time to be solid and alone. Unfortunately though, I feel this can also lead to bad things, like say if you are feeling separate. So that's another thing. So Virgo moon can feel very separate and sometimes very altruistic for that matter. It's like, what else can I give? I feel such a great separation from the world. I would say very much in tune with yourself. If you wanted to tune up to yourself and you wanted to see what are the different fractals of yourself that aren't really themselves, where are you pretending? Where are you pretending? And this is where anger and frustration can be an interesting guest. Angry thoughts, angry feelings, getting a bit frustrated about things, judgment of other people, no. Turn it around, judge yourself or the situation. And I know that I've been saying it's not good to heal and go into shadow. Definitely not good to heal, go into shadow and like mull over things. But if you don't really understand, if there's something inside you protesting your own choices, if there is a person inside yourself saying, this is not true, this is not true. And if you are now dreaming, you're like facing your own dream, you're facing your reality in a fuller spectrum now. And Pisces, with this incredible moon showing you the way, you might need to see, where are you not true? Where do you not want to perhaps see yourself? What parts of your body are you afraid of? Is there some part of your spectrum that you do not want to touch? Is there certain topics you can't talk about? Are there certain things that you just will not talk about? Is there something that you do not want to see? Are there people or things that really irk you? If you are somebody who is very easily placed into context for another person, it might be time to shift. There is a very nice time in Pisces to just be alone. It's a very nice time to take yourself out of any type of aggressive situation, anything to do with people, anything to do with projection, because people still project onto each other like as if they were God. As if they were God and the other person was a character in the game. People still do this. If you are unfortunately not knowing of this and you think perhaps you're the only one who judges or something, you're wrong, because every single person during this time is looking for something, and very likely they're not actually connected enough or knowing of themselves enough to see that they're not looking to another person to provide them anything, or for another person to suffer, for another person to give them that metaphor. They're looking for themselves. If you're in a situation where you are in cahoots with somebody just because they're there, it's just so nice to have people there, this is so good to go. If you are seeing somebody in your life, if you're seeing somebody as a lover, or even, you know, a presenter, YouTube presenter, or like if you're listening to music, just so that there is no silence. If you're afraid of silence, if you're afraid of yourself, that's something very interesting to consider. Are you lucky enough? Do you not feel you're lucky? Do you feel that something is against you all the time? Have you got a feeling or a fear that something is not going to give you enough? Are you afraid? Do you perhaps have a feeling like you have to stick to these people or these situations because otherwise you're not well? Challenge yourself. I feel that sometimes people don't know how to trust themselves unless they're completely alone. And I feel that a lot of people that do not like to be alone are the most weird people in the world. And there are also people that are, you know, like myself, like perhaps a few people watching this, who don't mind being alone or together with other people, and however they are, usually, it's interesting, this creates a lot of isolation later in life because other people can't see the fact that this person is happy by themselves. People do not understand sometimes that the happiest time on earth, occasionally a person can have in their own connection with life, to the extreme actually. And I feel that sometimes people are so afraid of the fact that one of the biggest corruptions in this world is the fact that we are fearing so much ourselves that we've got to go where other people have gone before in order to trust ourselves based on the collective psyche or based on what is around. It's like we are sort of looking for ourselves in other people's dreams, which are not going to ever really come back to the same center as we're going to. We want to dress like another. We would like to find somebody who looks like somebody else we've seen on TV. We wish for someone else to take us and tell us that we are pretty or we are nice. We're still wishing for other people to connect to us as if we were special. We are still trying to find somebody who can match ourselves in a way where we get constant back rubs and constant belly rubs and constant ego boost from that person. We're still not wanting to be us. We're still not wanting to be us. And if you really knew who you were as a human being, I feel it may be very tormenting to see straight away. And after a weird few days, you might find that it's actually very easy to be you. So if you are interested, look around, look at how you are, look at where you are, where you've been. See and feel and think and know and understand the different parts of the world where you've been and where you've come to be now. What it is about you that has led you here and why you can't be anywhere else perhaps, or what is it about you that is in denial about where you belong or where you are. It's very interesting actually to have a look through these patterns and see the earth for who she is. So that's an interesting thing. Seeing the earth for who she is, having a look around, seeing how much torment and grief and sadness there is between us and the living world. Why people can't put a bottle or like a packet of chips in the bin still. Why they have to pollute the beach. If you can't handle the question, don't ask it. There is a thing I feel for the brave, the really innocently brave people that don't understand half the things that we're doing as a species and that don't actually really understand why they're living in this world. It's a special time to breathe. It's a special time to show and to actually ask those questions out loud. Why are we here? Why do we have to do this all the time? Do you know what I mean? Can you even see me? Do I have to explain to you 30 minutes worth of video? Can we not just sit there and look at each other for a minute and just know each other enough? You know? This is very like unconscious time, you know, and I feel that one of the reasons why Pisces has been reduced to an unconscious experience for many is because if we really looked at ourselves and where we live and how we do, we'd be surprised. We'd be surprised as to how low our psyche is in comparison to our grief, and how big our dreams are in comparison to what we can actually master, and who we are inside in comparison to what we try to be outwards. But too, like where we're living and why we still don't really know how to look after our environment. You know, it's dark. It's dark. But the only thing I would like to actually embed into this video is the possibility of greater truth and greater understanding in the future if you are just honest with yourself. This is difficult. This is difficult. Honesty with yourself. This is probably the best the best thing that you can do is just to be honest. If you don't like somebody, look at that. Don't change yourself, don't twist yourself around. You know, people can be incredible at being the moralistic Mother Teresa that they think they are, and they're not. They're not Mother Teresa, they're not Gandhi, you know, like even Gandhi and Mother Teresa, her organization actually, weren't happy people, they were corrupt people. You know, it's like we're trying to be people that we don't even understand don't exist. It's like people trying to be saints, saviors, not knowing what that is, and that's just propaganda. We're all light and dark, nobody's perfect. The illusions and the aspirations that a lot of people have are not real. The understanding of one's soul and one's psyche is not real. It's not important. Digging deep now, it feels to me, is not the most important part. Now it is actually nice to come to terms with where you are and what you've done to be able to live here. This is basically it. It's like, see yourself, Can you see yourself? If you can't see yourself, what dreams can you make? What connection can you make? Yeah, you can say I want to get married and you'll have it. You'll say I want a house and you'll have it, but what that dream is worth is a question. In reality, in retrospect, when you actually receive that on the golden platter, you might be very surprised as to what you actually receive. Yeah, so the most beautiful thing I feel about this moon is in those people, places and situations where you are truly raw, where you can actually fully cry and you can see why, you know, like this question why that is because I don't feel that people will otherwise wake up. Sometimes there's times when we can, yes, create dreams, commit to greater work, you know, create greater bodies and all of that, you know, become the exercise guru that you always wanted and, you know, build that beautiful house. Yes, you can do that now. You can. But why go there? Why go there if you don't want to really be yourself? So there is no like real truth to it. It's like you're creating a shell. It's like, I'm going to go have this beautiful holiday, I'm going to like be in love with this beautiful man, but there's not actually that much happiness and illusion in the end if you don't really know who you are and who you've been. And this, like, I feel to me represents an interesting rip in reality if you wanted it to be, because everybody gets a little bit sad. Everybody does. Everything has a dark side. Everything that you see in the world comes from something, you know, like say I got a bottle of water because I thought I'd be good to my body, you know, what happens to this glass, you know, what is inside this, you know, what's this label, what's this brand, why? Everything has a light and dark. You know, I'm recording this on an iPhone that probably had child labor as part of the process of creating the iPhone. Like, everything is give and take, everything is light and dark, and nobody really wants to know that. People are quite happy to eat that steak in front of them, not knowing that that was a baby cow. They want to eat the chicken without really having to think about where the chicken came from. This is something that I would like to not any longer push away, because that is something that I think about all the time. And it feels to me that a lot of people do, it's just that they do not want to. And we have this really great illusion of creating eco brands. You know, eco brands that seem to be green, and we have this illusion of yoga, you know, and dance and other ways of getting your body artificially excited and ready to live without it really wanting to live for itself. And we've got healthy eating, you know, we have packaged foods and we've got superfoods in order to somehow keep us going. But it feels to me that however we band-aid and patch up our system, or however we try to deconstruct it in order to reconstruct it again, this is going to be always there. The greater truth of this world, the greater truth of where we're going and how far we've been and how little we understood and how much more we have now and how much sadness and dis-ease is in the world. So basically that's the main thing. The look of you, the feeling of you, that should not be blocked off now. So that's another thing. If you're a woman and if you've been indoctrinated by the world to keep on looking younger and to keep on facing yourself in a different way, to keep on making perhaps stature or making money or making power out of what you look like, you know, take a look at yourself. You know, if you're a man who has to try and work so hard and be somebody for somebody else in order to live, like, have a look at that. Start looking at your truth. And if you can, if you're really lucky, take a few days off and just sit there and look around, because you might find that the greater spectrum awakens, and perhaps just for you to be awake to your own dream and to your own mastery, you might actually find that the world changes a lot. It is not a time to artificially create worlds. It is not the time to bang your head against the wall. It's not the time to, how can I say, if you will something, if you manifest something during this full moon, you might not like it in just like a while. For some people it will be slow, some people will be fast. Realities, dreams, what you manifest here. So if you are really evolved, if you're really lucky to have alone time, if you're really like open, do not do anything. Don't do anything. People will say to you, work, Virgo moon, this is your work, it's your processes. It's like, what are you doing? How are you structuring your life? In my reality, I found the more you do, the less you are. You know? The less you are actually are, you know? It's a very interesting time to, if you can, cuddle up with a book or feel, or just do nothing. Do nothing if you can. Because the desire to snap out those dreams, I'm feeling like we are like a school of fish and somebody's like throwing bread at us. And bread is not even good for fish. So it's like being fed a lot of things that we don't actually need to eat. It's like sitting with yourself, I feel, is the most powerful thing you can do during this time. Seeing who you are and closing yourself from this desperate need to structure, to make, to change and to shift. It's an interesting time as to really weed out those mechanisms inside of you that are trying, that are tempting you towards pushing buttons and making change and making great noise. And we're all kind of in this really interesting social game at the moment, so it might be very enticing to be with somebody other than yourself, to watch a movie, to look at something else, and to not actually feel who you are. And another couple of things also for this transit is that with time, with situations, with decisions, it is not healthy to speculate as well. See everything as simple, see everything as open. If you are at this point of your evolution where you can't lose, everything's the same. Like, you're just looking at life, and this is for some people optimism, but for other people is just understanding that everything is everything. So it's like you can't lose, there's no better or worse. That means that you have trumped Pisces. If you've done this, it means that you don't actually have to do anything in the world. Everything's already yours. You're a sovereign being. Everybody already knows you. All already exists that you need. You do not need to work very hard to do anything you don't want. And also another thing is, I feel love during this time is becoming sticky. It is becoming conditional and is becoming ununique. I feel that a lot of us are going to get chosen for love based on our appearance, or some things that we've said or done that are somehow in alignment with the person who has chosen us. Don't get chosen. Do not get chosen. You know, like a lot of women especially, they think, I want to be chosen, you know, where is my, you know, knight in shining armor? Don't get chosen. Don't get chosen. It is actually much nicer to get yourself together in such a way where you don't have to choose or be chosen, you just are, which is a slavery-free experience. It is not about being captive, and it is not about being submerged under somebody else's gaze or being under somebody else's arm. Because what are you doing under someone else's arm? You're carrying their arm. Who wants to do that? Sorry. If you still believe in that stuff, that's great. But the better you know yourself, I feel, the more trustworthy and trusting you are, the less likely you are to find yourself in some strange situation later on, and the greater is your vicinity of control over your own life, which is not actually about control at all. It's just about letting go. It's like you just let go, so your hands are loosely on the wheel and you're just driving life. So in saying that, I also feel that control is something that comes from the inner world, and it is not a conscious thing. It is not a conscious thing. So take care of yourself during this Pisces time, please. Connect to your senses. This moon is going to be great for those that didn't actually care as to where they would end up. And this is it, basically. The relaxation of your senses, the relaxation of your body and your mind is what will make it. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed me being a little bit more myself today. I'm sorry that I haven't really been able to talk about these things before. It's because I just didn't really understand how that would serve YouTube. Yeah. And ironically, so the thing is, like, I'm really sorry, like, that I haven't really been honest about my time here, you know, trying to help you guys create homes and families and, you know, make what you want in your world, because that's what most people want from an astrologer. It's like, give me the keys to what I want. And I feel that if you don't know you, then how are you going to get you? How are you going to understand you? So thank you very much, you guys. Sorry for not being totally on point with things. I'm starting to realize it now. I'd like to help people take themselves further now. I feel further than what they can have. And I think my next few videos are probably going to be about things that I've wanted to talk about for a long time that I haven't actually been able to say. So thank you very much, you guys. I hope you had fun. If you want to have a look at my website, or you want to take a look at my readings or my blog, anything like that, take a look. Thank you very much. Hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye.